horses. Good day to you, partner. I'm Guy, and I can already tell that I'll be your best friend in this forsaken kingdom.
Hey guys, we Solo here, aka the Skeleton King. So we got a double map feature this time with the Brand Innocence Necro, but moving on to the Act 3 Merc. I did one run with Cold and one run with Lightning. And my gear is honestly not ideal, and I also never ended up making an Iron Golem. Now, the Iron Golem could be a Mage Slayer. It could be any source of resistance like Jinns or the Cold one, Zenith. But I think probably the best bet for your Iron Golem would probably be Pride or... I mean, Conviction is really good, but I think it's really expensive on this build and kind of unnecessary. So I think it would probably be Pride or Doom, just because that would be a nice source of just a little bit of extra survivability, especially if you wanted to do T3s. And I do think this build can do T3s. And in fact, I was kind of saying that I was going to be done running this build, but if we have some gear to change up just a little bit, maybe I'll run a T3. I don't know if I'll make an Iron Golem. We have a lot of stuff on NL, so it's not really the cost. It's just sometimes you don't have the specific rune or item you need, and farming it, it's like you have to farm everything yourself, right? Or, you know, somebody randomly has some NL crap, but honestly, NL is so dead, it's kind of just basically somebody gives it to you because on on NL nothing is worth anything except, I don't know, like the very, very, very best items. And so yeah, and I think in that direction you want to go Act 3 Holy Shock. Now this is obviously with Act 3 Cold, and I do think Prayer is nice, but I don't think Prayer is really enough. And on this version, I wasn't running any life after each kill, I believe. And I do think actually after running Act 3 Holy Shock and kind of understanding the build a bit better, I do think life after each kill is actually a solid choice. And in fact, I also mentioned that I probably should have made the bow in a better base. And if I'd made the bow in an elite base, I think the base damage that maybe Life Leech could be incorporated as well. Now, do I think you need AR? No. I do think it's not that AR is bad. It's just that with, by the way, the beast is only a level 8, so that's kind of annoying, but I don't know. I'm sure we have a level 10 beast prayer somewhere, scepter with +3 player somewhere, but I'll have to find it. With the fanaticism, the heart of the Wolverine, I could even get the enchant aura from a demon's limb. I have enough AR to basically hit an elite if I really desperately need it. But the truth is, if you have ITD, which does come from the Jaw rune on the brand bow, because I'm kind of retarded and I completely missed that, I'm going to hit every single normal mob, and, you know, 95% of the mobs in a map, I don't need any AR to hit. And so it's really not an issue. And although I do think there is a world where running AR is good, and, like, duh, the problem is it's one of those things where you can only get so many stats. And I think the real source of stuff you want in this build isn't even necessarily FCR, because I barely even cursed. I think cursing actually wastes time. Maybe in a T3, I'll feel like it's worth my time more, and in fact, it's almost not even worth the skill point. Seriously, it's like 1 point, right? You just get amp, and like if you want it, you have it, and if you don't, you don't. And in fact, it's kind of cool because I do end up killing this boss, and this build actually destroys bosses. And Wahid is not that dangerous to summons, and so I do kill him. But the next map I run with the Act 3 Holy Shock Merc is Shadows of Westmarch, and that map boss absolutely obliterates summons. I'm just going to come back and kill him later because I don't really want to deal with any of my archers dying. And I didn't realize how fast they would kill him, to be honest. But I should have known. Archers are bae, okay? These are like near level 60 skeleton archers, and they destroy. And then, you know, if I'm actually stomping on the mobs, I have like, what, a 12k bone spear. That is sick. So the damage isn't the issue. I don't think Prayer is very good. So how do you get the survivability considering you have the Blood Warp so much? And again, Ligma is not an option. I guess you could use a teleport amulet. That's actually kind of cute. I wonder if that's well, you only have 25 charges, right? That is interesting. Yeah, 25 charges isn't enough. I guess you could swap between using teleport and blood warp, and it does sound kind of annoying. It also sounds kind of cool. Anyway, since all I'm doing is classing blood warp, I don't really think that FCR is that important. I mean, 75 feels so much better. I think I was running the 30 breakpoint before, and so 75 feels so good. That's 2 different frames I'm saving. But I kind of need to stay on a mob for a second anyways, so it's kind of like the same idea that Landis 3 had when he was building his Fire Golem Poison Nova build. Or was that Knives now? God, I get them confused. Is that you don't really need that much SCR because you kind of are going to wait anyways for the pulse. In my situation, it's not a pulse; it's just to make sure that my blade shield actually procs, and then the bone spears do most of the work. So here's West March. I do the Caldeum in like 4 minutes. This map is like less than 5 as well. So this build is really good. Now I don't think this is necessarily a good map to run. I actually think Caldeum is like perfect for a T1. I'm not saying it's the best. It's just because of the fact that the monsters aren't that dangerous. And the layout is really good for Bone Spear. I feel like it's like a map where you can kind of kill everything on screen with Bone Spears. Well, obviously in this map, there's all these annoying little holes you can get into. But this is just a great description to show you, again, to reinforce that Act 3 Holy Shock is the in-game goal for any build with a mercenary almost. Yes, there are exceptions where all you care about is vigor or, high-level fanaticism. But his static field hits mobs basically off-screen. So even if they nerf his Lightning Mastery, which is, I believe, the direction they're going to take with the Act 3 Holy Shock Merc, I believe Senpai, it's confirmed, he said that giving him 1,400% mastery was a lazy way to balance him. So let's just assume they're going to nerf his Lightning Mastery and probably buff him a little bit besides that. Hopefully they don't touch his static field, because his static field is absolutely monstrous, and this is why I think the build could actually do T3s. I mean, obviously the build can do a T3, but I mean is like efficiently. So as you can see, I basically just stomp and things die. I do wish that Bone Spear had like a bigger hitbox. I'm not sure how big it is, but I feel like it's a bit too small. But when it actually does hit, it basically even kills champs almost in these maps, and that is really cool. So one of the other things I was exploring is not just life after each kill, right? It was actually Crushing Blow, because Blade Shield procs Crushing Blow. Again, that's kind of like Life Leech. So there's things I haven't completely explored with this build in general, which is how to best use Innocence on a Necromancer. It's like, do you get high base damage so you can use Life Leech? How much Crushing Blow would you like, because Blade Shield can proc Crushing Blow? And like Deadly Strike would never really matter, but a little bit of Life Leech, a little bit of Crushing Blow, and then a lot of life after each kill, I think would make this feel very smooth. And then you could run the Act 3 Holy Shock Merc, which would do most of your damage. And in fact, you could probably drop some of your magic LCs for any resistance, etc. that you need. And I could probably even go up another FHR breakpoint with a little bit better gear. And I think that would be the real end game. And I think 75 FCR is the sweet point. Getting to 125 just takes so much energy, and you're probably going to have to drop something. But there are some, 30 FCR amulets out there I could use, which would be cool. But then there's one other concern, guys. Blood Warp. You got to put a lot of points into Blood Warp to make this build work. And you got to have some plus all skills as well to make it work. So that's always kind of the constriction of any build relying on Blood Warp that is not a summoner, is that you're probably going to have to cut something somewhere to not only put points into Blood Warp, but make sure you have at least plus 10 all skills as well. So I think the map's about over right now. The Merc build is basically the same. Exile does feel better. I don't think it's better than Doom, but again, I think you could just make your Iron Golem out of Exile, put Doom on the Merc, vice versa. Either one works. I guess Exile on the Merc is a little bit better because it makes him a little tankier, so that's always nice. If you're wondering what other gear you should put on him, you should probably prioritize SCR. I didn't, because I didn't really have a good FCR item for him, so I just put on a Steel Shade, which had some Dull Runes in it. And honestly, guys, Dull Runes are actually pretty good on a Mercenary. I know they already have a lot of replenished life, But Replenish Life just feels a lot better in Project Diablo 2, and that's just going to help him die less. And as you can see, there was like no fear for him. By the way, that belt is actually sick. Don't let it fool you. And so this is it. No more Brand Necro unless I can get, like I said, a little more life after each kill, slightly better merc gear, maybe do the IG, and I'll run 1 T3. But besides that, we're going to be moving on to the Pure Brand Summoner, which is going to obliterate Green Goblin. Maybe not obliterate, but I think it's honestly just as fast. It's just... it's like this. Do you really want to put Brand on your Necromancer? I don't know, guys. Skeleton King out. GG.
Come play with us, Danny. Forever